In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a granny square with a circle center on it. So to start with, I'm going to start with my slip knot and I'm going to work 4 chain and join them with a slip stitch at the beginning to create a circle. Now I would normally use a magic circle for this, but just for the purpose of this tutorial we'll use this method. So there's your slip stitch and it's joined into a circle. So to start off the circle on the inside of the granny square, we're going to do 3 chain to count as a treble and then work another treble into the circle. So we have 2 trebles there. Now I'm going to do 1 chain and 2 more trebles into the circle. Be sure to work your tail in as you're working these trebles. So like this. See the way I have my tail grabbed along here at the back of that? We're going to work it in like that. And there's 2 trebles. So we see we have 2 trebles here, a chain space and 2 more trebles, and I'm going to continue that around, so your chain space and 2 more trebles until I have 6 groups of 2 trebles with chain spaces in between. So 2 more trebles and a chain and 2 more trebles and a chain, and go again. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I need 1 chain and 2 more trebles, and then we do a chain space and we join with a slip stitch at the top of your first 3 chain here. So 1, 2, 3, that closes off the round. Okay, so we join with a slip stitch in there, and as you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clusters of 2, and each of them have a chain space in between. Now I'm just going to see the way I have my tail worked in at the back there. That means I can give it a little tug and close up the circle like that. Kind of acts like a magic circle for those of you who know how to do that. Now, so that's my first round done. I'm going to stay with this colour for the whole circular insert of the granny square. So what I want to do is I want to come across into this chain space here. I want to get across there to start my second round. So I'm going to slip stitch across the top of that treble that's there, okay, see that, and then slip stitch into the space there again. So here I am in the space now, ready to go for this second round. So on the second round I'm going to work my clusters again. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3 chain to count as your first treble as always, and we're going to do 1 treble, 1 chain and 2 trebles all into the same space. I'm going to show you that again now. See there? So 2, there's your 3 chain to count as your first treble, and then another treble. We have a chain space and then 2 trebles. Now if you wish you can put 2 chain into the center here, but I find it's not necessary for me and my tension, but it just kind of depends if it's not working out. If it's working a bit too tight, you'll see by the end of the round. But for me, I always only put 1 chain into this space here. So I'm not going to do any chain now here on this section here when I jump over into this other space. I'm just going to have my cluster here, and then I'm going to jump straight across into this space and do 2 treble, 1 chain and 2 treble all into that same space. Okay, see again, 2 treble, 1 chain, 2 treble, and again I'm not going to do any chain space to jump over. I'm going to just go straight into the space. A lot of the time the chain spaces in between can kind of loosen up the work when it's not necessary, so I tend to leave them out. But if your tension is super tight or you're having any issues with it, you can always try to put 2 in the middle here and 1 on the sides. With crochet kind of things have their own way of developing once you get used to it, but this is how I do mine. So again, I'm going to jump across into the next chain space here and do 2 treble, 1 chain and 2 treble. Okay, and again into this one, 2 treble, 1 chain and 2 treble. Okay, and then again I'm going to jump into this space. This is the last one now, so we do 2 treble, 1 chain and 2 treble, and then without any chain space or anything in between, we're just going to join up to this. We're going to close off the round here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3 and into the top of that 3 chain that we started with a slip stitch and pull directly through there. So this is looks kind of like a hexagon there, but we're going to put in our 3rd round now, and that will kind of bring it out into a circle, and that's when we'll be changing colour then to do the granny square add-on. So again, I want to start off in the corners. I always like to start off in the chain spaces, so we're going to slip across the top of that treble, okay, and then into the space. So here we are in the space now, ready to go for our next round. So in this round, I'm going to work 3 treble into each of the spaces that are here along, all the way around, 3 treble. And this time I am going to put a chain space in between them because it gets a little bit tight on this round. So we're going to do 3 chain to count as your first treble as always, and 2 trebles into that same space, okay, like that, and 1 chain, and we're going to work 3 trebles into this space, okay, and 1 chain, and then 3 into this with 1 chain. So we're going to do that all the way around so that each of the spaces has 3 treble and 1 chain in it, okay. So we'll do that all the way around. And this 3rd round now is the last round that kind of forms the circle pattern for the inside of the granny square. And you can use this for the basis of lots of other things as well. And I'm using obviously UK terms, so if you're watching in the US, the treble will be a double crochet. So here we are. Did I do my chain there? I didn't. So 3 treble, 1 chain. So you can see it forming, going all the way around there like that. This is always the boring bit for you watching the video, but you can fast forward this bit if you like. Yeah, it's good to keep watching so you get to see how it's done and the repetitive part of it. Nearly there now. Last. Now. So into my last one, then I'm doing a chain and 3 treble in here, and then 1 chain, and we're going to join up the round. Okay, we're going to close off the round. So there's my 1 chain, and then again into the top of the 3 chain here, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do our slip stitch in there like that. Okay, so if you lay it down, you get a little pull out, you can see it's looking kind of circular there. Okay, let's give it a little pull. So that's it, that's the center of the granny square. What we're going to do is just cut the yarn off here and fasten off, and then we're going to join up a new colour to start the shape of the square around the edges. I'm going to use yellow as my next colour because I think it will stand out pretty well. And so for the purpose of this and to anchor it in, I'm going to do join my colour like this. I'm going to put a slip knot onto my hook like this, and then into any of the chain spaces. It doesn't really matter because it's all going to come round together anyway. Doesn't make any difference which one you go into. I'm going to join this new colour here with a slip stitch. Okay, and that's kind of anchored in there now. like that. Okay, so I want to do like a normal granny square. We're going to start off with the corner cluster. So if you've seen my other videos, there's a granny square tutorial there, and it'll be the same corner cluster as that. So I like to do 3 chain to count as your first treble, then 2 treble, 2 chain, and 3 treble, all into the same space. Okay, so that's the corner there, as you can see that already. Okay, now obviously with an ordinary granny square we'd be doing either a chain space or no chain space, and you'd be jumping across in here and doing 3 trebles. But if you look at it, if we want to make it into a square, the treble is going to be too tall to work into these. It's not going to work. It will it'll kind of continue it in the circular round if you were to do trebles. So in order to create that square look, I want to kind of bring the stitches straight across like this. So in order to do that, we actually need to use a shorter stitch here in both of these sections here, just to bring the sides down a small bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 chain, and then in here I'm going to do a double crochet. So just in and like this, and we'll do our 3 double crochets in here, just in keeping with our granny square pattern. So look, you can see already it's coming straight across there. So you see, if I was going to do a treble, it would be way up here. And then I'm going to do another chain and 3 more double crochets in here. Okay, and then we're going to do another chain, and we're going to work a corner cluster into this space here. So we've got this corner here, we've got 2 sides, then another chain, and it'll start to look a bit clearer now when we go around here on this side, when we get this one done as well.